Now, renowned drummer Tumi Mogorosi is set to honor the late Dr. A.B. Xuma this evening. Xuma was the first black medical doctor in South Africa and served as president of the ANC in the 1940s. Mogorosi will deliver a performance titled Black Music at the Trevor Huddleston Memorial Centre in Sophiatown. But before we go into that conversation, let's take a look at this.
The focus of the show is to think through Dr. Xuma's house by way of Ken Temba's House of Truth, Block Mutisani's Shangri-La. These were spaces to sort of like commune and have some sort of like a political engagement around the climate of black freedom and black liberation. Black music, I think the music itself deals with this historical accumulation of trauma, you know, of an inability to state one's position. And I think Xuma becomes one of these examples where he gets subsumed within the multiracial ideology of philosophy and is unable to put forward the black position.
Tumi Mogorosi joins me now to discuss this project further. Tumi, great to have you in studio.
Nice to have you. Nice to be here, Hugo. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is a two-day commemoration, as we discussed a little bit earlier. Started off yesterday. Talk to us about yesterday and what we can expect for the remainder of today.
Well, yesterday it was a concert again in Dr. Xuma's yard in the Trevor Huddleston Memorial Building. But I think the concert again, the commemoration, is to give a focus on the legacy that Xuma brings and the questions of the limitation of that legacy. And I mean, I think Xuma gets subsumed within the narrative of Trevor Huddleston that we forget to give him the focus to be able to speak about these incomplete notions of freedom, right? This ongoing project of liberation. And particularly thinking about that within the prism of black consciousness itself, how at the intersection of the Rainbow Project, there's always a center of the white narrative. So I mean, I think Xuma also becomes an example of that in Xuma's house, in Xuma's yard, the subsuming narrative is that of Trevor Huddleston. Though we appreciate what Father Huddleston did for the likes of Brahu and for the likes of Jonas Gwangwa within the sort of like cultural space to be able to think through culture and politics. But I think within the larger frame of the, political project, I think we have some critical questions to ask around ideas of the intersection when we start to think about politics and black liberation.
So when you read out about Dr. Xuma, they tend to say that not much is known about him.
Yeah.
Was this one of your sources of inspiration to then talk about him and obviously put together this commemoration?
Yeah, I mean, I also have an interest. I have a research project, an academic project that also focuses on the silences of history, right? And Sophiatown is the space that offers yet another silence in black historiography, right? And in how the construction of the black narrative itself has always these gaps and these spaces where there's a blank space.
And this is what you call silences of history?
Yeah, the silences within the historical narrative itself. And Xuma's house helps us to think about the possibilities, because this is the last standing house, and I mean he gives us the possibility of what might have been there, all the houses that were demolished and under the rubble or over the new houses, there are these memories and these stories that are untold, these questions that are still unasked. And I mean, so the project itself is trying to tap into that space of trying to think through these questions and these histories that are still haunting us.
So how does music play a part in unpacking these issues, or, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, going back to the whole idea, if we want to think about music as a cultural practice, then we have to think about music within the broader perspective of the socio-political sort of like climate or society itself. And due to that, I think the music itself is part and parcel of a larger thinking mechanism around the ideas of being and the ideas of the politics of freedom. So I mean, again, these are not answers. These are practices that sit with these questions. And I think a practice that can help us think about the question is again within the purview of the cultural frame of work itself.
Now, I quite like it when artists collaborate. Now, your genre is jazz, if I'm not mistaken, which speaks to a specific audience. Mm-hmm. Is there greater value in collaborating with other artists around events or commemorations such as these in order to reach more people, if you will?
I hear you. I think there's also work to be done around the conscientization of people around different spaces, right? So to be able to sit with difficult questions that might take a bit longer to unravel. So I mean, yes, collaboration I think is important, and we are always collaborating. And of course, collaboration again is the premise of the practice, or this album in particular called Group Music, Group Theory Black Music. So this idea of group theory itself stems from notions of collaboration. In the album itself, I've collaborated with great South African poet Xuma Afrika, great South African pianist Andile Yenana, and my co-collaborators every day, like on the bandstand, you know. So, I mean, I think there's a larger conversation to be had around, you know, different cultural practices that speak to the same narrative around thinking through notions of freedom, thinking through notions of being, and thinking through notions of being in this world, in this time, with all these anti-black sentiments that seem to be pervading the landscape.
Now, Dr. Xuma passed away in the 60s, I believe. Is there any involvement of his family, certainly in some of these commemorative events?
No, but we have consent from the center itself to be able to commemorate Dr. Xuma. And I think, again, we use this moment deliberately not to focus on the Trevor Huddleston Center, but to focus on Xuma's history, to be able to again invoke certain questions, to invoke certain memories that somehow seem to be lost in our collective consciousness. And how these memories, if they are brought to the fore again, can help us unravel some of the, you know, cultural, political situations that are happening now, and how to, you know, possibly find ways to try and ask the right questions.
Now, a sentiment that has been aired on social media around this commemoration is, how about remembering those living legends, if you will, before their demise, as opposed to years ago we had this individual.
Yeah.
Does that fit into your narrative in any way?
Yeah. No, I definitely do. Like I was saying, the collaboration with Xuma Afrika and Brandile Yenana, these are my elders, and these are the greats of our time. So we have been, you know, thinking through notions of commemoration, but I think there's also these moments that even, you know, the likes of Xuma Afrika and Andile Yenana are pointing us youngsters to the past, to say it is important for you to be able to dig in this memory, to be able to have a well-rounded and a well-versed orientation to what this work is all about.
Tumi Mogorosi, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on to the show, and wish you all the best with what's left of that commemoration of Dr. A.B. Xuma.
Thank you, Hugo. It's happening tonight at the Trevor Huddleston Center, 71 Toby Street. 5:30, there's a walkabout to Dr. Xuma's house, and then the doors for the concert open at 7 o'clock.
Absolutely awesome.